Good morning to all respected attendees and speakers. Welcome to the third webinar of the first strand of the online continuing professional development for Nusantara. This event is a collaboration between the British Council and Priyantin. Thank you, the British Council and Priyantin, for making this event possible. It is a pleasure that I, Priyantin Suharto, will serve as the master of ceremony for today's webinar entitled what teacher educators can do to address contemporary needs in English language teaching. I would like to welcome the Chief Committee of the event, Dr. Dia Royani Meisani, M.Pd. Good morning and welcome, Ibu Dia.
Thank you, Bu Pipit.
A heartfelt and warm welcome is extended to our speaker for today's webinar, Dr. Willy Renandya from the National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University. Good morning and welcome, Dr. Willy.
Morning. Hello. Morning, everyone.
Hello, Ibu. Hello, Bapak. Also to Ibu Tina Priyantin, M.Pd. from Universitas Pakuan Bogor. Good morning and welcome, Ibu Tina.
Good morning, Bu Pipit. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Pak Willy.
Morning.
Today's webinar is moderated by Kurniawan Suryatama, M.Pd. Good morning.
Morning, Bapak Ibu. Morning.
Dear participants, there are a few things we would like to inform you. This session is being recorded and will be uploaded on British Council's Indonesia YouTube page. By attending, you acknowledge that your comments may be recorded and rebroadcasted. If you would like to ask questions, please type them in the Q&A box on Zoom. At the end of the session, you will be given a link to complete a post-event survey. Link to the e-certificate will be provided at the end of the webinar 3 and only to participants who attend all webinars in the first strand, from webinar 1 to webinar 3. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Chief Committee of the event, Dr. Dia Royani Meisani, M.Pd., to deliver the opening speech and officially mark the commencement of the event. To Dr. Dia Meisani, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Bu Pipit. Assalamualaikum, Bapak Ibu. Good morning, and I'm so happy to see you again on this lovely Saturday morning. Welcome to the last webinar in Strand 1, which is webinar 3 of our exciting series on what teacher education can do to address contemporary needs in English language teaching, born out of collaboration between British Council and Priyantin. It is an honor to introduce our esteemed panelists for today's session. We are privileged to have with us the highly distinguished Dr. Willy A and Renandya. Good morning again, Pak Willy. Thank you for willing to be our speaker today. Yes.
Selamat pagi. Good morning.
And the accomplished Ibu Tina Priyantin, Master of Education. Hello, Bu Tina.
Hello, Bu Dia. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you for being our speaker. And for sure, the expertise and insights promise to enrich our understanding of the critical role teacher education plays in addressing the ever-evolving needs of English language teaching. I believe that we all can't wait to hear the presentation and learn from both Pak Willy and Bu Tina. Well, Bapak Ibu, before we delve into the heart of today's discussion, I would like to extend a warm invitation to all of you to consider joining actively the online classroom practice development program. This initiative aims to further empower educators like yourselves, with undoubtedly contribute to the ongoing improvement of English language education in Indonesia. Bapak Ibu, as we progress through today's insightful session, let me also remind you to mark your calendars for Strand 2, which awaits us next week. To ensure your participation, don't forget to register for the second strand and continue this journey of knowledge and collaboration. We will share the registration form soon, within this week and next week. And please let me again take a moment to encourage you to all to become members of Priyantin. Priyantin, or as we know as the Primary English Language Teachers of Indonesia, is a vibrant community that fosters professional growth, collaboration, and networking opportunities. Joining Priyantin ensures that you stay connected with the latest advancement of ELT and become part of a supportive network of like-minded professionals. Finally, thank you for your enthusiasm and being part of this series of webinars, Bapak Ibu. Your commitment to professional development and excellence in English language teaching is truly commendable. Let's make the most of this opportunity to learn, share, and grow together. Just like Priyantin's slogan, grow together, grow better. I think we can do it together, Pak Willy, Bu Tina, Pak Surya, Bu Pipit, and participants at home. Let's deliver the Priyantin slogan with the gesture. Grow together, grow better. Okay, can we do it
Grow
together? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Priyantin,
Grow,
grow
Grow
together.
together,
Grow
grow
better.
Grow
better.
better.
All
grow
right.
better.
Thank you, Bapak Ibu. Enjoy the webinar and back to you, Bu Pipit.
Thank you very much, Ibu Diah Maisani. We will proceed to the webinar now, and I'd like to invite Surya, the moderator, to host the webinar. To Surya, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Pipit. Good morning, Bapak Ibu attendees and the honorable panelists. I'd like to start the main event of our webinar by introducing you to those of you who haven't know one of the big name in Asia's English education. Let's welcome Willy A. Renandya. So before we start
Morning.
our webinar, I'd like to introduce you, Bapak Ibu, a bit of his experiences and his expertise. So Bapak Willy Renandya is a language teacher educator with extensive teaching experiences, not only in Indonesia, but in Asia, actually. He currently teaches applied linguistic courses at National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University at Singapore. He has given more than 100 keynote presentations at international ELT conferences and has published extensively in the area of second language education. Another publication include Language Teaching Methodology, an anthology of current practices, published in 2002 by Cambridge University Press. And another example of his publication is Student-Centered Cooperative Learning, published in 2019 by Springer International. Additionally, he maintains a large teacher professional development firm called Teacher Voices. You can find this forum, Bapak Ibu, in Facebook with the name of Teacher Voices. And additionally, for my personal view, Bapak Renandya is one of my, figure that I looked up to when I'm writing an article and also learning about the ELT. So without taking your time further, Bapak, the e-screen is yours.
Selamat pagi. Good morning, everyone. Pak Surya, thank you for the introduction. Ibu Pipit and Ibu Dian. Sorry, Ibu Dian as well. Ibu Dian, can you please have your audio on throughout? Pak Surya as well, and Ibu Pipit. I would like to have a conversation instead of me talking non-stop alone. I'd like to be sharing the stage with all of you. Those of you who I can see on my screen, Ibu Tina, Ibu Pipit, just turn on the audio so that I can hear you, so that I can talk to you. Ibu Dia? Yes, thank you, Ibu
Yes,
Pipit,
Pak
Pak
Willy.
Surya.
Yes, Pak Willy.
Very good.
Hello,
Yes.
Hello, Pak Willy.
Yes, hello. Yes. So have your audio on and we'll have a conversation. Yeah. I think that will be a little bit more interesting for the audience this morning. Before I start, let me just say briefly about my university. The name of the university is Nanyang Technological University. That's the big university. It's a university, one of the universities that is LPDP approved by the government of Singapore. So if you are able to get a scholarship from LPDP or from BPI, Beasiswa Pendidikan Indonesia, I think you might consider applying for admission into the graduate programs in my university. I belong to the School of Education, Fakultas Pendidikan, and locally the Fakultas Pendidikan is known as the National Institute of Education. Singapore. It's the only teacher education institution in Singapore. And that means that for people who want to become teachers in Singapore, they have to study with us. There are no other places that you can get your teacher certification. You have to simply have to study with us, spending maybe 4 years or maybe 2 years for the master's and 3 or 4 years for the doctoral program. Bapak Ibu sekalian, the main idea, the most important thing that I want to get across with you is we have to grow together. And we have to grow to become the best that we can be. Saya ulang ya. We have to grow and become the best that we can be as a language educator. If we do that, I think we'll be in a better position to address the needs, the changing needs of our students today. We cannot remain stagnant. We cannot be doing the same thing that we've been doing for the past 20 years. Things are changing very fast. So I think we need to change together with what is currently changing in the education field and also in teacher education as well. To improve is to change. And to be a great teacher is to change often. Often means when you are young, you have to change. When you are older, you have to change as well. Budia, no exception. I know you are 30 years old, you have to change. Ibu Pipit, I know you are 35 years old, you have to change. I'm more than 50 years old, but I continue to change as well. Otherwise, you will be stuck in, in a rut, so to speak. So that is essentially what I want to get across to you. We need to continue to grow. We need to continue to become the best that we can be. And for that to happen, we need to change. So my presentation today is actually about how we can become a professionally competent English language teachers. And I want to share with you 6 points. Yeah. Number 1, essentially, is the question about, are you professionally competent? I know most of you, all of you are competent, but can you become even better than what you are, who you are, or where you are at the moment? Number 2 is reflective teacher. I think that is one of the most important tools for you to look at yourself and to look at yourself in relation to other people who are better than you, so that you can also become as good as or even better than other people who are working with you. And one way to do that is for you to continue to reflect on your thinking, to reflect on your practices on a regular basis. The next one is, I would be talking about student-centered learning. So the question that we should be asking is, are you a student-centered teacher? I think most of you today will say, yes, I am a learner-centered, I am a student-centered teacher. But there are different ways for us to address the different needs of our students. And we need to explore this idea even at a deeper level. The next one is about technology, basically about digital literacy. I think that is another area that we need to really equip ourselves in. Otherwise, we'll be left behind. Otherwise, the students will become much better than we are in terms of using digital tools, technology for learning, for teaching, and so on. The next one is the idea behind lifelong learning, continuous learning. So I'll spend a bit of time, talking about how we can all become a lifelong teacher, a lifelong learner. And the last one, no less important, is the idea that we can all become a better person if and only if we have the passion in whatever we are doing, in our profession, in our job, or even in life. The word gritty means that you are self-determined, that you are, you're willing to spend a lot of efforts to achieve whatever goal you want to achieve in your life. So these are 6 ideas that I want to share with you. And I'm going to go through them fairly quickly. The first one. Again, as a language teacher, you have to keep asking yourself, am I professionally competent? If you are a medical student or a medical if you are a mathematics teacher, for example, you also have to ask yourself whether you are mathematically competent as a teacher. So this is a question that all educators will need to ask themselves on a regular basis. Yeah. And there are three areas that you need to focus on. Number one is, do you have enough knowledge of the subject matter that you are teaching? In our case, is English language education, yeah? Do we have the skill, to deliver the best of the most effective ways of supporting our students' knowledge and skill? And the last one, no less important, is values. Ini yang terakhir, ini penting sekali, values sesuai dengan kurikulum Merdeka Belajar, ya. If we want our students to be respectful, if we want our students to be responsible, if we want our students to have integrity, for example, I think we need to lead by examples. So values like this, for example, become very important. And these values are an important part of the things that we at NI in Singapore try to instill in our student teachers. So the idea of integrity, for example, honesty, integrity, knowing what is right and what is morally wrong. Yeah, professionalism, collegiality means working together with their colleagues, valuing diversity. That's a big topic these days. I think we are dealing with these issues in Indonesia or in many other places, that the students are different. Linguistically, they're different. Culturally, they're different. Socioeconomically, they are different as well. And these are things that we need to keep asking ourselves, have I been able to address this in our classroom? Yeah. Okay. I think we are now going to look at the other aspect of professional competence. Yeah. To be competent professionally as a language teacher, I think there are 4 areas that I want to share with you. Number one is the language itself and the culture associated with English language. And then the content of teaching, the pedagogical aspect of teaching English. And then the last one is the context, whether you're teaching in a primary school, whether you're teaching in a public school, whether you're teaching in an international school, and things like that. I think that will have to be taken into consideration. So holistically, you may be considered as a professionally competent language teachers. The first one, language and culture. Yeah, the language aspect of it is, you need to keep asking yourself a question. Am I competent? Am I a fluent speaker? Am I a good reader? Am I a competent writer in the English language? Broadly speaking, I think the expectation for English teachers in Indonesia itu diharapkan punya keterampilan kira-kira pada level C1 ya, at least B2, kalau bisa C1. So this is quite a challenge for many of you in the audience. If you feel that your level of proficiency is still at the B1 level, I think there's space for you to grow, yeah, into B2. Maybe next year B2, and then 2 or 3 years later, begitu. And the key thing again is this. If you're a math teacher, you need to be very good at math. I think that makes sense, yeah? If you're an English teacher, you have to be very good at English. You have to be good, fluent, competent in the language that you are teaching. Not only that, you also need to be, socio-culturally competent. Because today, using English doesn't mean that you'll be speaking to people from the UK or from the US only, but you'll be speaking with people from diverse cultures, people from Thailand, whom you meet on a plane, for example, or people from Japan who happens to be visiting Indonesia. And you need to know a little bit about the culture, about the way they do things, so that when you have a conversation with them, when you have a discussion with them, you can connect with them in a way that is socially and culturally acceptable. Yeah. And there's another thing there that I want to share with you, which is very important. Today, actually, you do not need to be aspiring to become or to be able to speak like a native speaker, for example. You don't need to do that. Number one, it's not possible. Number two, it's not desirable. What is important today is for you to be able to use English in a way that is understandable, so that when you speak to somebody from the UK, from Japan, from Australia, they understand you. I think that's number one, very important. But number two, understandability alone is not enough. As a teacher, I think you need to reach a certain standard of excellence. So I'm using the word acceptable. Yeah, acceptability is the social dimension of competence. If you work in a supermarket, for example, serving customers using English, you do not have to speak good English. As long as you can, make yourself understood, that's enough. But as an English teacher, it's not enough just to be understood. You need to also show your students that your level of sophistication in the English language is fairly high. Maybe at the at the B2 or at the C1 level. So that's what I mean by language and culture. The next part is basically a fleshing out of the subject matter skills and things that you need to be very knowledgeable about. Yeah. As a language teacher, as an English teacher, you need to be knowledgeable about the sound system of the English language, about the lexical system, vocabulary system in the language, about the grammar of the language as well. On top of that, you also need to know about what it means to be reading in a foreign language or in a second language, what it means to be writing in a second language. These are knowledge, or this is knowledge that you need to have, deep knowledge of this. Is that enough? No, it's not enough. Because in addition to understanding or having a deeper knowledge about these areas, you also need to have the skill, the pedagogical aspect of the knowledge about the language. Yeah. Very briefly, having knowledge is important, but more important is knowing what knowledge you want to pass on, you want to impart to your students, the kind of knowledge and skills that will support your students' English language proficiency development. Gitu. I'm sure you have a lot of questions about this, and I'll be happy to share with you my thought about the best way, for example, to help your students to develop proficiency in the English language, so that when they graduate from high school, they should be able to reach at least B1. Kalau tidak, mungkin B2. And that is what is expected today. In Malaysia, it's like that. In Vietnam, it's also like that. I think the governments of these countries are also trying very hard to upskill the English language proficiency of the teachers and also of the students as well. The context, very briefly, as a professional English language teacher, you need to work in a certain context, and you need to be able to make use of whatever resources that are available in a particular teaching context. Yeah, but today I think I'm not too worried about the kind of resources that are available. When I was a teacher many years ago, there were not that many resources. But today, even if you work in a school that doesn't have a lot of resources, you can always explore resources that are available on the internet. Yeah. So understanding the context is very important. What is available and what is not available, and how you can explore other resources outside the classroom. Let me ask you this question, Budia. Are you professionally competent? Dari 1 sampai 10, please give yourself 10.
It's hard to answer, Pak Willy. But let's say 7, perhaps.
7 is good. Yes, Ibu Tina.
Well, I will follow Budi, 7 then.
Okay, 7. Yes. Audience, this is a question
7.5
for you.
probably.
7.5. Okay. Audience, this is a question for all of us, actually. Think about where you are now and where you want to be maybe 3 years down the road or 5 years down the road. But the key thing, again, is you have to grow. You cannot just stay, well, I'm happy the way I am. You cannot stay happy the way you are. I think you need to continue to grow and become the best that you can be. Not the best in the world. It's not possible. Not the best in the whole school, but the best that you can be. And that means achieving your potential as a person, as a teacher. Okay, let me continue then the second point. The second point is very easy, reflective teacher. One of the most important ways for you to grow is for you to engage in reflective practice. Essentially, the idea behind this is very simple. Yeah, experience is important. Having 3 years of teaching experience is good. Having 5 years of teaching experience is very good. No question about that. Yeah, but I think people, educators now believe that experience alone is not enough. Yeah, what is more important perhaps is what you do with the experience. Do you do anything to the experience that you have had? Like 3 years or 10 years? If it is 10 years and actually it's 1 year repeated 10 times, then you don't learn very much from your experience. Yeah. Now here is a nice quote for us to remember related to the idea behind reflection or reflective teaching. That learning, I mean, from your point of view and also from your students' point of view, learning is a continuing, is an ongoing process of, constructing, building an understanding. Deconstructing means reflecting to the different components of your understanding. And then the next part is reconstructing, rebuilding, your experience. And in this way, you'll be able to learn a lot from your experience. You may be wondering who is saying this very important quote. This guy. Do you know who said this? I did just now, but it's not my idea. It's a big idea from a big educator in the world, and that's the guy. The name is John Dewey. Yeah. He said this like many years ago. The idea that reflection is so important. Thinking about your experience is important. Yeah. And thinking about your experience simply means that you are thinking back to what happened the day before, the week before, the month before. And the purpose of doing that is for you to be able, so that you can think about how you can become better, when you teach the lesson again, when you teach again next year, and so on. So it's about looking back in order for you to be able to step forward, to become better, not to repeat the same mistakes, not to repeat the same bad lesson, for example. So that's the whole idea. And there are many things that you can do in order to help you to reflect on your own experiences as a teacher, as a tutor, or as an administrator, for example. Tools like diary, teaching journals, and things like that. And you don't have to do it alone. And very often you need somebody to help you reflect on your experiences. So in a practical terms, these are things that can help you to look back, to reflect on your experiences. Number one, from time to time, you may want to videotape your own teaching. Yeah. But after the videotaping is done, do not keep it in a computer just for you to look at. No. Or to show your children. Of course, your children will say, wow, my father, my mother is a wonderful teacher. Share your video with your colleagues. Yeah. So that they can give you feedback. They can give you critique, for example. I think that will be good for you. Number three, one way for you to make sense of your experience is for you to invite the best teacher in your school or the best teacher to come and observe you so that they can give you targeted feedback, comments, and also suggestions for improvement. Number four, you can always ask your students for feedback, but honest feedback only from your students. And honest feedback can be very painful. Students always say nice things about you. When you ask them, they will say nice things about you. But if you ask them without them having to reveal their names, they will tell you really whether you are a good teacher, whether you're an excellent teacher, or whether you're not a good teacher. Yeah. So these are things that we can do in order to help us to think back, to look back, so that we can become a better person, so that we can continue to grow and become a better teacher. The next one. So the first one is thinking about your profession, your knowledge, your skill, your expertise in English language teaching. Number two is an important way for you to become to grow and to become a better teacher, to become more professional, to become more competent in whatever you do. The next one is the way you approach, the way you teach. Student-centered teaching is usually contrasted with a teacher-centered teaching. Yeah, I think we now agree that student-centered teaching is the way to go. In other words, we want to give students as much opportunity to learn optimally in our lesson. And the only way for that to happen is for us to be more attentive, to be more sensitive to the needs of our students. So teaching in the classroom is not about us, it's about the students. It's about empowering our students. It's about supporting the students in the most, effective way that we can. And one big idea today is for you to be thinking about these questions. Are my students engaged? Are they engaged, or are they just on task? On task means they are doing something that you ask them to do, but are they really involved, fully during your lesson? Yeah, if you are able to get everyone, maybe not everyone, the majority of your students to be fully engaged. Yeah, like 90% of your students are engaged 90% of the time. I think you will have done a very good job of engaging your students. You will have done a very good job of implementing what is known as student-centered teaching. Okay. I mentioned about holistic needs of the students. Yeah, engaging the students is not just giving them work to do, but is thinking about how we can engage the students emotionally, effectively, so that they can make an emotional connection to whatever they're doing in the classroom. Cognitively, involving them, engaging them in thinking, problem solving, for example, yeah, asking questions, solving difficult problems in the classroom. Kinesthetic basically refers movement. I think with young children, I think one way to engage them is to give them hands-on, practical activities that requires the students to actually do things, talking, yeah, walking, singing, clapping their hands, and things like that. That's kinesthetic. And finally, is social. Social engagement simply means that the students feel happy working and being supported by their peers in the classroom. I think that is social engagement. So engagement is actually a very, very important idea. It's a very complex idea, actually. It's not just about them mengerjakan PR misalnya, atau mengerjakan latihan. That's not the only thing. I think full engagement is possible when they are really thinking very deeply about the task, when they are emotionally connected to the task. Okay, good. In other words, we are looking at their feeling, their thinking, and what they can do in the classroom. Yeah, things that I just mentioned to you. Do they feel curious? Do they feel excited? Do they feel safe in the classroom? Safe from being ridiculed? Safe from being laughed at by their friends, for example? Yeah, that feeling is important in the classroom. Next one, thinking means connecting, exploring, extending, speculating, hypothesizing, solving problems, and things like that. And then doing refers to discussing with their friends, debating, creating, and things like that. It's a lot of things that you can do to create a student-centered learning environment. Let me just skip this one. So in terms of being a student-centered teacher, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Ibu Pipit?
Yes, Bapak.
Ya. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 10.
7 or 8, probably.
7 or 8, very good. Yes, I think 7 or 8 is very good. Pak Surya?
Well, I'll take the same chance, Bapak.
Okay,
Maybe
7
around
and
7 or
8.
8.
Very good. Yes, there's room to grow. There's room for improvement as well. Okay, let me just move on to the next one now. The next one is pretty straightforward. It's about knowing more about the way people I think whether you like it or not, on a daily basis, we are using technology, we are using digital literacy. Yeah. When it comes to teaching, I think we need to know a bit more to become more literate in terms of using technology in the classroom. I'm going to share with you 3 areas. Number one is, familiarity with useful educational tech tools that we can use for teaching, that we can use to support students' learning. And number 2, again, it's a very important part, how we can communicate more effectively using technology and how we can collaborate more effectively using technology as well. And last but not least is, as a teacher, you need to become a good model of how you choose, how you select, how you decide what information is useful or not useful. In other words, critical user of information from the digital world. Just very briefly, in terms of tech tools, I think most of you are already using some of these tools. And going forward, there will be a lot more tools that are available. I think what is important for you to remember is always, is this tool supporting my students' learning of the language? Yeah, it's not just about using sophisticated tools, but it's about using tools that are really, really helping your students, in our case, developing their English language competence, English language proficiency, developing their reading skills, speaking skills, pronunciation, and things like that. I have here like 4 different tools that I've been using myself. I'm sure you're using a lot of other tools as well. Yeah. You don't need to know too many tools. I think the major consideration is, number 1, is it easy to use? Yeah, for teaching purposes, always ask that question. Is it easy for you and for your students to use? And number 2, another important consideration, especially for those of you working in small places, small cities and towns, is it freely available? Yeah, I think that's another important consideration. The second one is about communication and collaboration. I think today we are using technology to communicate. When you create PowerPoint slides, for example, I think you are using PowerPoint slides to communicate ideas. Are you able to use PowerPoint slides in a way that is, good, easy to follow, audience oriented and things like that? I am very proud with my slides because my slides are usually very easy to follow. There are a lot of images and there are not that many words on the slides. Even a very simple thing like that, all of us need to learn, how to communicate using technology. Let me just give you an example and tell me. This is an example that I've seen. People presenting, giving a presentation in a conference, and this is what it looks like. Yeah, this is the title page. Later, I'm going to ask you whether the slides are good or not good, audience oriented or not. This is a title. This is the next slide. Okay. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Good. On a scale of 1 to 10, do you enjoy reading what is on the slide? Yes, Willy A is about to say something. I don't think
Paulo.
so. Yes, I don't think so. I think people are abusing PowerPoint slides. Do you know why it's called PowerPoint? PowerPoints
should
means
Because
contain the points, yeah, the points which are
Yes.
powerful.
yes, just the most important points. You don't write in sentences. Yeah, maybe one slide is okay if you have 1 or 2 sentences, but the majority of your slides will have to be in point forms. And the points should be the most important points. So this is just an example of somebody, and the person is very good, very knowledgeable about their topic, but their communication technique is very poor. I've seen something worse than this actually, where it is actually a copy and paste from a book, and then they put it on the slide. That's really, really terrible. Yeah. This is the last point about digital literacy or competence in using technology, yeah, or information that is available. The word I'm using here is curating information. I think today we are flooded. There's just too much information out there. Some is useful, some is not useful, and some others actually are just impossible. They're horrible, they're terrible. I think as an educator, it's our job to be able to share our understanding, to become a responsible user of information that is available on the internet. And you have to be a curator of information from the internet. Yeah. Now here is some example. To be a critical user and responsible user of information from the digital world, I think we need to equip ourselves and later to teach our students how to find relevant information from reliable sources. Itu step nomor 1. Anak-anak kita tidak terlalu pandai memilih, mencari informasi. Number 2 is selecting information. Not all information available on the internet is useful. And the last one, the next one is very, very important. That is what critical thinking is all about, evaluating. Yeah, what information is good, what information is not relevant, what information should never be shared with other people. Yeah, this is what critical user of information from the internet is all about. Very important for all of us. Ini terutama sekarang ini lagi ada pilpres ya, akan ada pilpres. Wow, there's a lot of misinformation out there. So you need to be very, very careful. Tell your students, show your students, model to your students how you select, how you analyze information and how you evaluate information, so that they also know what to do and what not to do in terms of reading and sharing information. Question for Pak Surya, are you digitally savvy?
Well, I can probably say so, Bapak.
Yeah, the younger ones are usually very good. Yeah, the more senior teachers are usually not very good. So it's for the more senior teachers, I think we need to keep growing. We have to keep learning how to use technology in our career, in our profession as a teacher. Yeah, the past 2 or 3 years, I created my own blog site because I need to know how to use a blog, and I need to know how to write, as a blogger, for example, to pass on information, to share information with other educators. I have a YouTube channel as well. I think I need to learn how to, how to upload information, how to cut, how to edit video materials and all that. I think this is part of my, my development in this area of importance today. Next one. I think this one is something that you already are very familiar with. Yeah, lifelong learner. Again, the idea of lifelong learning is obvious to everyone. You cannot stay still. You have to keep up with development. And for that to happen, you need to continue to learn. And lifelong learning is good for you. It's good for your health. It's good for your wealth as well. And also for your personal, social, and professional development. You simply have to continue to learn. Yeah. If you are able to become, you know, a very, very good teacher, I think you are opening a lot of doors for yourself. This opportunity for you to work in different places in Indonesia, and also to, you know, build your career in other countries as well. Maybe in Malaysia, maybe in Brunei Darussalam, or maybe in Singapore. Yeah, I think it's professionally rewarding for you to be able to reach out to people beyond Indonesia, for example. There are 4 areas that I learned recently about lifelong learning, because lifelong learning is just learning continuously throughout your life. Yeah. One aspect of lifelong learning is known as life-wide learning. Membuka wawasan baru. Belajar bahasa itu, mengajar bahasa itu tidak hanya sekedar mengajar bahasa. We also need to know about the psychology of learning. We also need to know about the economic benefits of learning English. We also know about the possibility of social mobility of your students. This is known as life-wide learning. Jadi tidak melulu hanya mengenai pronunciation. Wah, saya ahli pronunciation, saya ahli tata bahasa. I think that is part of lifelong learning. It's known as life deep learning, specializing, going deeper into one area. Pak Surya, for example, I think he's still young. I think he needs to, you know, develop a life-wide learning, but also life deep. Yeah, area publishing in one area of studies within language teaching. Yeah, yang terakhir, yang paling penting, minimal for me, at least for me, is life-wise. Bagaimana menjadi seorang yang lebih dewasa, lebih bijak, begitu. And that is not easy. Yeah, not to become upset very easily, not to be angry, not you know, not to become so biased when you deal with people from different religion, from different social and cultural traditions, and so on. So the ultimate goal is to become menjadi pandito. Itu bahasa Jawanya, menjadi pandito. Okay, ngoten nggih. And you know, if you continue learning, I think you need to remember that there are many things that you learned before that is no longer relevant. You have to unlearn. Harus apa namanya, you have to delete things that are no longer relevant. And you need to continue to maybe to relearn, to learn again what you have learned before. So the cycle of learning, unlearning, and relearning is a requirement for all of us who want to continue to become a lifelong learner. Are you a lifelong learner? Ibu Ati Herawati is in the audience. You can write your answer in the chat box. Are you a lifelong learner? I hope the answer is yes, I am a lifelong learner. You have to, you have no choice actually. Okay, this is the last one. The last one is so important. The message of the last one actually is from a book written by this person. And the name of the book is right there on my slide. The Power of Passion and Perseverance. And the message of the book, the most important theme, takeaway from the book is hanya satu, that every one of you, without exception, dari Malang ya boleh, dari Garut ya boleh, dari Jakarta ya boleh, it doesn't matter. Every one of you has a chance to become successful in whatever you do, in your career, you know, in your social life, in your family life. You can become successful in whatever area that you're working in, as long as you have 2 things. Number 1 is passion. Number 2 is perseverance. I will encourage you to go to YouTube and watch this video later after the session is over. It's a 5-minute video, and this video hopefully will change your life. Yeah, the idea that every one of you can be successful in life. Not your family background, yeah, not your social background, not your economic background, but it's something else. And that something else is passion and perseverance. This is one idea that I learned from the book. which I think is very, very relevant for all of us. So the first point is this: if you want to develop a skill, apapun skill itu, skill memasak, skill belajar bahasa Inggris, atau skill menjadi seorang pengusaha misalnya. Now in our case, it's skill to become a competent speaker of the language, ya. You need some talent plus effort. Harus punya talenta. Talenta is not everything. As long as you can speak, as long as you can hear, as long as you can see things, that's your talent. The next bit is effort. Oops, sorry. Yeah, and that's how you develop a skill. If you want to become very good in acquiring that skill, you need to use that skill and add more effort to it. And that's how you become better. So kata kuncinya adalah ini. So effort, effort, effort. And that is what perseverance is all about. And effort is the key of success. Gak ada yang lain. Yeah. It's not your intelligence, no. It's not your social background, no. It's not your money, no. It's the amount of effort that you're willing to put in. This applies for you teachers, and it also applies for your students as well. Effort, effort, and effort. So essentially, as I mentioned earlier on, passion and perseverance are very, very important. Yeah. There's another thing that I need to mention: purpose. What is your goal? Yeah. If you want to become a better person, you need to really, really clarify your purpose, your goal in your head. When that happens, I think that the other things will come into place. And the very last point I want to share with you is to have a growth mindset. Ini kan temanya growing ya, Budia ya. The growth mindset is very important. Yeah, the idea that I can do it, saya bisa, is very important. That's what the growth mindset is all about. This one. Yeah, if you have the growth mindset, you'll be doing things like, okay, I've not been successful, so I can try a different strategy. Yeah. If you have done something, you keep asking yourself, is this my best work? Keep asking yourself. And then point number 3, this may take some time. I need to put in more effort to become better. Itu seseorang yang punya growth mindset. Yeah, the opposite is this. Somebody who has a fixed mindset. Selalu mengatakan, I can't do it. Enough for me. I can't spend another 1 hour. No more work. This work, good enough for me. Saya kan orang dari Garut misalnya nih ya. Saya kan aslinya Garut. Orang Garut ya udah cukup segitu gitu loh. Orang Jakarta lain. No, I don't think that should be the case. Yeah. This is too hard. No, there's not too. You need to keep stretching yourself. Yeah. If you really want to grow, you need to keep stretching yourself, challenge yourself, put in more effort. So growth mindset is the way to go. Are you a gritty person? Do you have passion in your teaching? Are you willing to put in more effort in whatever you do? Ibu Tina is nodding her head, agreeing with me. Ibu Pipit too, and Ibu Dia as well. So, Bapak Ibu sekalian, 6 ideas that I've just shared with you. Hopefully, with these 6 ideas, I think you are on the way to becoming the best language educators that you can be. The first one is for you to keep asking yourself, am I professionally competent? Number 2, am I willing to make sense of my experience, my weekly experience, my monthly experience, my yearly experience in teaching, with the idea of becoming a better, teacher? Am I using a teaching method that is more student-centered than teacher-centered? That's point number 3. Point number 4 again is, am I able to make use of, digital technological resources to help support my development, to help support my teaching in the classroom? And the next one is, am I somebody who continues to learn until the end of my time? And finally, do I have the passion? Do I have the perseverance to be successful in my career, in my profession as a language teacher? Thank you very much for listening. That's a long presentation. I'm so sorry.
Well, maybe for me, myself, Pak Willy, it's not a really long presentation because it's hard really for me as a learner myself and as a teacher myself, because looking at the materials here, even I personally realized that there are a lot of stairs that I need to climb to be my best version. Well,
Yes.
thank you, Pak Willy, for the very insightful presentation personally, and maybe mewakilkan the attendees and other participants. I think
Yeah.
we really learned a lot from this presentation. Okay, now it's time for our audiences to engage in our discussion, Pak Willy. Okay, so Bapak
Yes.
Ibu, please type your questions in Q&A box and we'll get through as many as possible. And Pak Willy, actually, we already have a lot of questions, interesting and hard actually. But maybe we can start from the fundamental question, because maybe there are some teachers, or let's say some attendees, that haven't know what is meant by B1 or C1 level, and what is exactly meant by those standards.
Yes, very quickly. This is a very interesting question. The level of proficiency, A1, A2, B1, B2, C1, C2, I'm referring to the CFR, Common European Standard of Reference, which many language teachers, non-English teachers, know about or have been using for their teaching. If you speak to a Japanese language teacher in Indonesia, they know. If you speak to a French language teachers in Indonesia, they know, and they have been using this for many, many years. Interestingly, English language teachers are not very familiar with the CFR scale, Common European Standard of Reference. It's a very useful scale, and the scale has been used by a number of countries in the region, including Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, and some other countries. Indonesia has not adopted the scale yet. Indonesia is still using a proficiency standard that is not very useful, if you ask me, like TOEFL, not very useful. IELTS, not very useful, because those two tests are specially designed for people who want to study overseas. Not so much about measuring your functional English language literacy or English language proficiency. Yeah, the CFR scale is extremely useful for language teachers actually to use, because the scale is described in terms of what students are able or not able to do with the language. So A1, for example, refers to a very limited ability in using the language. So A1 basically is my name is, I come from, that sort of thing. At the B1 level, I think the students are able to express themselves using, a number of sentences and talking about some, topics that are not of immediate relevance to the, to their daily life. So something beyond their immediate experience. So look at the scale. I think it's available on the internet. I think it's good for you to understand how the scale works. My guess is that sooner or later, Indonesia is going to adopt that scale for language teaching, for English language education. We haven't done that yet, and I think we are a bit too late for that. Yeah. So yeah, Pak Surya.
Maybe we can, Bapak Ibu attendees, you can personally learn. Maybe you can adopt it, because it helps us as an English teachers a lot.
Yeah.
So maybe we can start on by our own, ya Bapak ya.
I think so, yes. And it's very straightforward. It's very easy. In the old days, A1, A2 is known as elementary or basic level of proficiency. So B1, B2 itu kurang lebih intermediate. And C1, C2 itu advanced level. But the word advanced can mean different things to different people. So the standard CEFR standard is very good, because it provides very detailed descriptions of what an A1 level student can do or cannot do, what a B1 level student can do or cannot do. Very specific, related to, proficiency in the English language. So yes, I would encourage everyone to know more about this.
Thank you, Pak Renandya. Okay, now the next question is from Bapak Asep Rahmat. This is
Yeah.
quite interesting, Bapak. Bapak Asep said that I'm interested in your statement on experiences isn't enough because everyone has their own experiences, but the main important is what we will do with our experiences, which will lead us to get better and new experience. So
Yes.
his question is, how do we know and make sure that our experiences will be valuable and a good teacher for ourselves if we just do the same thing as before? Is there any ideas to make our experiences to be real reflection and has effect or impact on the others?
Yes, I think that's a very good question. Yeah. Experience is useful. I'm not saying that experience is not useful. Yeah, having 2 years of teaching experience is very useful. But if you want to make the most of your experience, you need to refer back. You need to look back. You need to think back. What is it that I did yesterday in my lesson? What is it that I did right? What is it that confused my students? Yeah. Now, this is the kind of reflection, looking back, that you need to do on a regular basis. I agree that sometimes you don't know, because you're not aware of what you're doing, because what you do in the classroom is very often based on your, acquired knowledge, and you've been doing it for some time, so you're not even aware of what you're doing. And you often think that, hey, what I did is good. What I've done is useful for my students. I don't think that should be the case. Yeah, the only thing you can make sense of one of the ways for you to make sense of your experience, whether your experience is useful or not useful, is for other people to tell you. And this other people includes your students. If you can get them to give you honest feedback on your teaching, I think that is one way for you to, oh, I see, that's what I did. My students were not very happy when I did that. When I asked my students to stand up and read aloud in the classroom, they're not very excited. They have to tell you that. And you have to accept that. You don't have to agree with your students, but you have to accept that and use it as a basis for you to think about different ways of doing it in the classroom. Yeah. So getting information from your students is one way of helping you, making sense of your experience. Another way is for you to invite Ibu Dia or Ibu Pipit to come and visit you, sit in your class, and for them to actually tell you what you did well and what you did not do well. Yeah. If Ibu Pipit and Bu Dia only tells you that, hey, what you did in the lesson is excellent, is wonderful, you don't learn anything. It's just confirming what you have been doing for many years. You need somebody, di literatur pengajaran bahasa itu namanya, you need a critical friend. A critical friend is a friend, your colleague, who will tell you exactly what you did wrong and what you did right. Bukan mengkritisi ya, tidak. Tapi memberikan arahan. Ini loh, tadi kok kayaknya kurang pas ini loh. Is there any way we can change that in the future? And the best thing for you to do is to look at a model. For you to also visit or observe other teachers. And ideally, somebody that you look up to, somebody whom many students actually say is an excellent teacher. Humble yourself and ask permission from that person for you to sit and watch that lesson. We do this in Singapore, actually. Even at my level, people come and observe me, and I also come and observe other people's lesson. And that's how we learn socially, from other people. Maka dari itu, kalau kita mencari tempat membangun karier, itu make sure that you are working with people who can bring out the best in you. I think that's very important, because that's how you grow. If you work with people who are of the same level, of the same experience, of the same expertise with you, you don't grow very much. You grow a little, but you don't grow very much. So challenge yourself, Ibu Dia. If you can't find a nurturing, environment at Brawijaya, pindah ke Universitas Negeri Malang. Oh, pindah ke Universitas Negeri Jakarta. Gitu. You need to work with somebody who is better than you. I think that's what I learned.
Thank you very much, Willy, for the very inspiring and insightful answer. I believe Pak Teguh also, Pak Asep also thinks the same because he said it on the chat box. Okay, and next question by Bapak Teguh Parians. This is actually also relates to my own experience. Please give your opinion or point of view for a noisy class as the students are learning English. They are screaming, laughing, and etc. during the teaching learning processes. Is that okay, or we need to tell them to stay calm?
Yes, there are two different types of noise. One type is not good because the noise the students produce are not related to what they are learning in the classroom. So that one is not good. If the noise is related to, activities that support their learning, I think that's a good thing. A good example is when you put students in groups, in collaborative learning setting, and they discuss, they share their thoughts, hopefully using a lot of English, and they debate, they agree and disagree with their friends, making a lot of noise in the classroom, then will be very good. Yeah. Now, if your students are just being noisy and they talk about things that are not related to the lesson that you have planned, I think that is a bad thing. Does it mean that we need to blame our students? Occasionally, yes. But most of the time, you have to blame yourself. Yeah, because what it could mean is that your teaching, your lesson is not of interest to your students. You are not able to engage your students in the activities, in the tasks that you have prepared for them. In other words, they don't care. They don't want to be involved. They don't want to be engaged in the activities because it's not relevant. Emotionally, they cannot make that connection. Cognitively, it's very dry, and there's no opportunity for them to, to use their body, to use their hands to, complete the task and so on. So I think that's my thought. Yeah, depending on what kind of noise, and the noise can be that it's the students are just unruly, they are difficult to manage, but there are times actually when, when the students are noisy because we are not very good at engaging our students.
So the key is to actually engage the students, yeah,
I think so, yes. When the students are engaged, I think you will be the happiest person on earth because they will be spending, a lot of effort in order to complete the task. And usually the kind of tasks, I think we know about this, the kind of tasks that are engaging, itu sering masuk di kategori apa itu namanya problem-based learning, ya, project-based learning, discovery learning, as opposed to apa namanya learning that is controlled by the teachers. The teachers spending time lecturing, talking, explaining things for the whole hour, for example, that is likely to, get the students to be not interested and to make a lot of irrelevant questions and noises. Ibu Ika Damayanti is in the room. Ibu Ika.
Okay, so
Ika is there, but she's not there actually. I know she is the president of Pelton, yeah?
Yeah, she is president of Pelton. Okay, Bapak, as we wait for Ibu Ika, you have a lot of questions actually here, Bapak. But there is an interesting question from Bapak or Ibu Jayanta. He or she asks, if one's background is not in the educational field, but then got inspired by the educational field even before this webinar was introduced. So she or he have been teaching English to primary and secondary students. And his questions is, what should be my first step to be like a qualified teacher, to be able to teach or maybe break down those materials maybe. So what can she or he do to be
Okay. Yeah.
qualified?
I suggest that you speak to Ibu Ika Damayanti. Question would likely be, please come to UPI and do your degree in, in language education. I think that is the first step. I remember in the old days, people who speak the language, usually native speakers, were hired to teach English, although they did not have any qualification. Yeah, they did not have the kind of educational experiences that they had. As long as they can speak English, they can teach. But that's not the case anymore. I think what we're looking for today is someone who is professionally competent. The word professionally competent often refers to people who have gone through, 2, 3, 4 years of education. Yeah. If studying for 4 years is too long, I think one shortcut would be for you to take a certificate course known as CELTA. I think you can take it from the British Council. CELTA itu mungkin 1 bulan kalau nggak salah, Certificate in English Language Teaching. If you have the time and the resources, you may want to take another course from the British Council. It's called DELTA. DELTA is a diploma. I think it's a longer, study period. But these two will give you, sufficient knowledge for you to be teaching English to, students at the primary or at the secondary school level.
Okay, thank you, Pak Willy, for the answers. And
Yeah.
our last question, maybe, because basically we have a lot of questions, Bapak, around 13, but we only have 1 minute left. 1 minute left.
Yes.
So I'll just invite one question from Ibu Ati Herawati. I'm
Yes.
teaching extensive reading in semester 1, and I ask the students to feel free to read the fiction books they like. Then they have to do book report and book review by presenting it to their classmates. I want to help them grow their reading habit, but I do not teach them in semester 2. And the lecturer in semester 2 does not do extensive reading strategy. Do you have any suggestions how I can help the students grow with their extensive reading?
Yes, I understand the situation you find yourself in. Teaching students or trying to get students to read more in 1 semester is not enough. I think we need at least 2 semesters, if not 4 semesters. Dalam 4 tahun, mestinya program extensive reading itu masuk dalam kurikulum. Yeah, either as an in-class or as an out-of-class activities. For language proficiency to develop, I think students will need to stay engaged in reading, listening, and viewing for at least 1 year, kalau bisa 2 tahun. If that happens, I think you will be able to see very noticeable, very important progress in your students' ability. So 1 semester is not enough. So how can you help? How can you create opportunities for your students to learn more? I think one thing we need to do is to work with your colleagues, yeah, or work with the school leaders or university leaders, persuading them to make reading, an important part of the English language curriculum. Yeah, try that. If you're not successful, try again. If you still are not successful, then leave your current job and find a new job, or build your own school. I think that would be my advice. Pak Surya, thank you very much. I think Putina is getting very anxious, waiting for her turn to present.
Actually, that's it. Actually, Bapak, our question and answer session has ended. And on behalf of Priyantin and the attendees and the other panelists, I would like to thank you for being generous because you have delivered us a lot of new insights, very inspiring informations, and also help us to grow better. Thank you, Bapak. Okay,
Thank
Bapak
you.
Ibu attendees, I'd like to invite Ibu Tina to be our second panelist. So before we start our core webinar and her session, I would like to introduce you first. So Ibu Tina is a teacher educator at Universitas Pakuan Bogor with more than 20 years of experience in teaching English language education. Her teaching expertise focuses on courses related to methodology in English language teaching for adults and young learners. She also worked for Pearson Indonesia as a freelance master trainer and has conducted training for English language teachers for around more than 5 years, approximately around 10 years. And additionally, in contribution to the professional development of primary English teachers, he decided to join Priyantin as a chapter coordinator, sorry. And she currently in the process of completing her doctoral program at Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, Bandung. Her research interest deals with reflective practices for both pre-service and in-service teachers. So that's it, a bit overview from Ibu Tina Priyantin. So without further ado, Ibu Tina, the e-screen is yours.
Thank you, Kang Surya, for introducing me. Well, I'm so excited to have Pak Willy here because he explained longer than the schedule, longer than the schedule that have been scheduled. I mean, so probably I only add a little bit, probably to complete his presentation. Well, first thing first, I would like to extend my gratitude to British Council and Priyantin for the opportunity, which I consider challenging because I become the co-panelist of Dr. Willy Renandya, who I consider magnificent, gorgeous, one of my role models in the ELT world. And I remember the first book that I read about methodology in teaching is written by Dr. Willy and Jack C. Richards. I remember that. And now it's just like a dream that I can be in one frame with Dr. Willy because, you know, I always attend his presentations as well. I met him a few times in conferences and seminars. And the last time I met Pak Willy in Bangkok in Asia TEFL 2019, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, once I also visited NIE back in 2013, if I'm not mistaken. And we had a lot of conversation there and I learned a lot from you. Okay, Pak Willy, and I also joined Teachers Voices group in Facebook created by Pak Willy. And I got lots of benefits for my continuing professional development since I can find information about trends and issues in ELT and then about webinars, conferences, journals, research, and many more. Ibu Bapak, Dr. Willy's presentation just now is like a reminder for us, including me as a teacher and teacher educator, for never stopping to develop our professionalism to address the needs of the 21st century skills. And how long do I have for my presentation, Kang Surya? 10 minutes only?
No. 25
minutes, all right then. Well, my present topic just adds or completes a little bit what has been explained by Dr. Willy. But here I focus more on what teacher education can do to address the contemporary needs of English language teaching and to work together with English language teachers to develop English language teaching. Allow me to share my screen. Okay, what can you see on my screen? The first page of my slide?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yes, thank you very much. So the topic that I'm going to present is addressing contemporary needs in English language teaching. First thing first, I would like to take a look at this illustration. And please write on the chat box. Please read the speech bubble first. So there are 4 teachers here, Tara, John, Sham, and Promilia. Write on the chat box, which one are you? So this regards to the problems or challenges that teachers or teacher educators face. Please write. If you are not one of them, then you can just write a short sentence, what problems that you face at the moment in your English classes. Let me check here. Please write on the chat box. I'll give you 1 minute. So which one are you? So if nobody writes on the chat box means that nobody has problems. Wow, excellent. Plamira, okay, Pak Asep. Promila, you mean, yeah? Promila, Sham, okay. Sham, okay, Sham. Shiam or Sham, yeah? Shiam, probably. Okay, seems like most of you wrote Shiam. So let me see here. So Shiam, I have been teaching for about 15 years and I'm interested in training teachers now. I don't know how to become a teacher trainer. Well, you may consult this to Pak Willy later, yeah, how to become a good teacher trainer. Okay, and Promila here, I have been teaching class 9 and 10 for the last 10 years. I don't need to prepare for my lessons anymore. Oh, I have also attended many training courses. Wow. Okay. All right. See, any other teachers wrote here? Promila, but I'm teaching elementary students. Okay. Kang Surya, a bit of John and Promila. All right. Okay. Good. Well, you are the one who can analyze yourself, analyze your English classes. Yeah. All right. Now, I have sufficient knowledge on pedagogy, problems probably can be changed into challenges. I always tell my students and other teachers that please put in your mind that you don't have problems, but you have challenges. Yes, problems need to be solved, but challenges also need to be solved. We need to find solutions to face those challenges. And the challenges can give us opportunities to grow and we'll enjoy the teaching moments. I believe that. I took a quote from Martha Collins here that when someone is taught the joy of learning, it becomes a lifelong process that never stops. A process that creates a logical individual. That is the challenge and joy of teaching. Okay, now let's go back to the Dr. Willy's presentation regarding the contemporary needs for English language teachers. I took again the 6 components or 6 needs that teachers have to develop, including professional competence, digital literacy, lifelong learning skills, reflective practice, student-centered, and grit. And these 6 needs include in teacher professional development or TPD. We can make it short into TPD. Probably, yes, I believe that teachers in Indonesia have recognized this teacher certification program. It was designed in 2006, if I'm not mistaken, 2006 by the Ministry of Education. And this is one of the TPD program for teachers. It used to be PLPG, but then it's changed into PPG now. PLPG ran for 9 days. PPG now takes 3 months for teachers to accomplish the program. So what are the goals here? It is expected that teachers can perform their job properly and then improve the quality of education, improve teachers' professionalism, and to show that the teachers already have obtained sufficient competency to perform as teachers. But then there was a study conducted by Kuswandono, was the follow-up of this program. In 2014, Kuswandono conducted a study, and the findings reveal that after the teachers receive the educator certificate, there is no clear continuous support for professional development to maintain any learning they did during the certification process or to improve the quality of their teaching. I don't know whether you agree or not with this, but well, I've also found that even though teachers have got certificates, I have come to several schools, and then I also guide students, my student teachers, to have the teaching practice at schools, and it seems like they are not guided well by the teachers or guru pamong. Well, but not all, but I found many of these issues. And then in 2019, Avila Nova and Kuswandono, again, Pak Kuswandono, conducted a study about the teachers' participation on TPD programs in Indonesia. And then it was found that teachers, actually in Indonesia, there are a lot of TPD programs provided for teachers. For example, like workshop, conference, teacher network, or MGMP, and then individual or group research, peer mentoring, and probably other programs. The findings show here that teachers join or participate more on workshop, conference, and teacher network, but less in doing peer mentoring and individual or group research. But from this study, challenges were found that not all teachers join the TPD because of these matters. The highest is the program conflicted with my work schedule. As we know that teachers have a full day schedule from Monday to Friday. From what time? 7? 6? We have classes, or you have classes at 7. Probably you leave home at 5, probably, or at 6. So you have you go early in the morning and then you arrive home late in the afternoon, Monday to Friday. Can you imagine that? And then not only that, so you cannot have a rest after that. You still have responsibilities for your family, especially emak-emak. Here, I didn't, the second one is I didn't have time because of family responsibility. See, emak-emak has a lot of responsibilities. So not only at school, so at schools, they become teachers, and then at home, they become housewives and mothers. And there are other challenges here, like I didn't have the prerequisites, and then the program was too expensive. There was a lack of employer support. There was no suitable program offered, and they have a lack of information about the program. But as you can see in the graphic here, the highest is the program conflicted with with their work schedule. There is an argument from the Guardian 2012 that a fair amount of teacher professional development, also known variously as teacher training, CPD, or professional learning, is really bad. I don't just mean that it's poor value for money or insufficiently effective. It's much worse than that. A large swath of training has no effect whatsoever on pupil outcomes. But hopefully, this is not for teachers here. I believe that teachers, all the participants here are good at developing their continuous professional development. Because you are here now, you are attending the professional development held by British Council and M.Pd, and probably this is only a few % of teachers, yeah. But this is not Indonesia. The Indonesian ones are shown by Kuswandono's study. All right. So yes, teachers have contemporary needs, but they also need help. Teachers need to have one-to-one and group opportunities to receive and give help, and more simply to converse about the meaning of change. I also highlight what it's been explained by Dr. Willy, change. So teachers are agents of change. Teacher educators help them to be the agent of change. Teacher educators also need to change. And this one is called continuing professional development, or CPD. All right. It is why teacher educators should help or should assist English language teachers. Not only assisting, but I think teacher educators and English language teachers can work together. According to Zane in 2015, so the shortage of quality teacher educators contributed to inadequacy of in-service professional development. Therefore, there should be more systematic efforts to tackle the shortage of quality teacher educators. Again, not only in-service teachers or school teachers that need to have CPD, but also teacher educators. All right. So this is the topic, what teacher educators can do to address the needs of ELT. I found a framework from British Council. It's called CPD framework for teacher educators, which covers 4 stages of development. First, it is foundation. Means here, a teacher educator should have the foundation of teaching skills and knowledge on which to build your role as a teacher educator. And after you have the foundation, how you can engage to other teacher educators as well as teachers. You have developed your skills and knowledge as a teacher educator through practical experience and professional learning. And after you can engage, you have the foundation, you engage, and after that, how you can integrate your skills by developing your professionalism. You have achieved a high level of competence as a teacher educator, and at the end, you can get specialization. You act as a point of reference for other teacher educators as a source of expert opinion. So from the framework, it is supported by professional practices, which include 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, yes. 11 practices, which include knowing the subject, and well, you can read here. I'm going to explain one by one later in short or brief explanation. So these practices support the quality in teacher education. Okay, let me show you the components or the things that teacher educators can do to make themselves qualified, and then later on to assist teachers to be qualified teachers as well. First, knowing the subject here. What is knowing the subject here? Of course, it's about English. So teachers should be proficient in the subject, such as communicating effectively in English. Dr. Willy has explained that teachers, English language teachers, should reach, let's say, at least B1 to be able to show the students that they are good, or they are good at communicating in English. Teacher educators should be more, because later on, teacher educators should be a role model for English language teachers. Therefore, make sure that you yourself are also proficient in the subject, especially communicating effectively in English. I'm also still learning at the moment, because I never live abroad. I learn English here in Indonesia probably my English is, but probably my English sounds like Indonesian or Bogorian accent. Probably some pronunciation is also not good. But I'm trying my best to use English every day to my students to make myself probably improve my speaking ability. I also learn from Pak Willy and from other experts. I'm trying my best to join or to attend conferences just to make myself build my listening comprehension, and then how I can get some new words, and then later on I try to practice and share to my students. The next one is explicit knowledge about language systems such as grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. The third is subject-specific background knowledge regarding teaching methods, student learning, and also assessment. Another subject knowledge is knowledge of a wide range of current teaching and learning resources, either conventional or technological, that are available in the subject area. And the last is awareness of key themes and findings in current research, and also professional debates knowing the subject of CPD framework. Okay, all right. The second one is understanding the teaching context. There are 5 things that teacher educators can do to understand the teaching context. The first is key features of the social cultural context, as also explained by Pak Willy about social cultural context, and also educational system, including educational policies. Right now in the university, we have in Pakuan especially, we have OBE or OBE, outcome-based curriculum. And we need to understand about how we can implement the methodology that can support that curriculum until assessment. Assessments, we also need to be able to implement the appropriate assessments regarding the curriculum. And then the next is local pre-service and in-service teacher education systems. Next, key aspects of teachers' profiles, such as qualifications, experience, and motivation. And the fourth is teachers' professional learning needs. And here, the last is features of their educational system that support the teacher learning and change proficiency level. We also need to understand about the learner background, including linguistic needs, expectation, objectives, and also motivation. The third is understanding teacher learning. There are 4 things that teacher educators can do here. Teacher educators' work is informed by understanding of the competencies teachers need to be effective practitioners. Effective covers lots of aspects. The second is key theories of adult and professional learning and behavioral change. And then key processes in professional learning and how we can overcome the barriers to effective professional. That's the third one. And number 4, planning teacher learning. When we, even in our own classroom practice, make sure that we plan our lessons very well. How we can analyze our students' needs, interest, level of ability to make the planning effective. Here, teacher educators can use need analysis and evaluation. Okay, can use needs analysis and evaluations here of any previous courses and sessions to inform planning decisions. So when we understand about how to plan, how to use need analysis and evaluations, we can develop the planning very carefully, and then later on we can also share to the teachers how to organize the lesson planning. The second is define teacher learning objectives. I found a lot of issues regarding this. Even in service teachers, I found that sometimes it's very hard for them to connect between the topic, the learning domains, learning objectives, the activities, and the last is the assessments. For example, the learning domains is listening and speaking, but then the activities are about, reading and writing. So this is what teachers need to, teacher and its teacher educators also need to analyze and to practice more. And the learning objectives here in Indonesia, we call it TP, ya, tujuan pembelajaran. Nah, TP, of course, needs to be connected to CP. And then how you can develop the activities into the, and then also the assessments. And they need our guidance, teacher educators, especially in like what I usually do in the PPG program. I help them, I assist them or I guide them connect between those points that I have mentioned.
I'm sorry, Ibu Tina.
Yes.
Your time is almost up. Can you?
Okay, so I'll make it fast. All right. The next is identify and select appropriate learning channels, identify, select, and design, adapt appropriate resources, organize the course and sessions into coherent and logically ordered stages, and identify how and when teacher skills and knowledge will be assessed. Next is managing teacher learning. As you can see here, the important point here is how you can communicate clearly in presenting new information or giving instructions to your student teachers and later on to the English teachers when you do the training. And then use a range of participant-centered and interactive strategies, activities, and resources. Make effective use of technology, like Dr. Willy explained, that we don't need to use various kinds of applications. The important thing is it's easier to use, it's applicable for everybody. And then manage teacher learning activities effectively, monitor teachers' level of understanding, and then model effective teaching behavior. The next point is evaluating teacher competence. How we can define appropriate criteria for evaluating teacher skills and knowledge, using range of tools and methods, and how we can give teachers oral and written feedback with good manner, of course, both oral and written, and then evaluate teachers formatively and use results to support teacher learning, and then again, evaluate teachers in a good manner. So teachers don't feel insecure. They don't see us as a more powerful person, yeah, a more powerful teacher educator than them. And then this is the crucial one, supporting ongoing teacher professional development. There are a lot of programs actually, including in Pakuan University, Universitas Pakuan. We have some programs like lesson study, for example, lesson study to help teachers be observe other teachers and also analyzing the students' condition and then the teaching and learning practices. We also have the program of school visit, or lecturers go to school, docent go to school. So some lecturers go to the schools and then show the teachers how to implement specific techniques and methods for students of junior and senior high school. So as I think Priyantin also do the same thing, right? Priyantin develops programs for teachers at schools to help them get some techniques or best practice that they can implement in their class. Okay. Adopting inclusive practice, here how teacher educators recognize, value, and promote positive attitudes to diversity among teachers, identify barriers to inclusivity and take action to address these, treat all teachers fairly and with respect because we need each other. Teacher educators need English teachers also need teacher educators. So let's work hand in hand. Use assessment and evaluation methods also for teachers. Teacher educators also need to support remote learning, like using different learning channels, either synchronous or asynchronous, online or offline. Identify, select, and create digital content that supports teaching and learning, create a motivating, supportive, and inclusive remote learning environment for teachers, manage remote learning effectively, including basic technical troubleshooting, and use and integrate technology in a way that is safe, legal, ethical, and responsible. And this is the last, taking responsibility for our own professional development. Make sure that teacher educators, not only English language teachers, but teacher educators need to reflect regularly and seek feedback on their work. Like Pak Willy said that we can find friends or colleagues that can help us improve our quality. That's why make sure that we can find some and then can give feedback for us. Strengthen awareness of the impact of their behavior, seek professional improvement, keep up to date with current trends in their field, and then define career goals for both the short term and the longer term. One more, sorry. Contributing to the profession, like conducting research, not only individual research, but we can also collaborate with other colleagues from other universities. Even we can also have partnership or collaboration with English language teachers. This is the resources that you can probably, if you want to know further about the CPD for teachers and teacher educators, these are the links from British Council that you can explore. They provide articles and then some publications for teachers and teacher educators to learn further regarding professional development. My last slide here, teachers and teacher educators, let's work together. Starting from us, teacher educator, please remind each other that we need to have continuing professional development, because as a teacher educator, you hold the power. Doesn't mean more powerful, but you have the power to empower the next generation of educators, our pre-service teachers, as well as in-service teachers at schools. Your guidance and knowledge are the keys that unlock doors of potential and possibility. Teacher educators are the architects of change. To help English language teachers, the agent of change, designing a blueprint for a brighter and more informed future. Your work creates champions who shape the world. So teachers and teacher educators, let's grow together and grow better. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Tina, for the very insightful presentations, which helps me realize that as a teacher and also as teacher educators, that we actually still need to learn a lot to actually develop ourselves.
Exactly.
Okay, now we have come to the second session of today's webinar. So Ibu Tina, you actually have some questions here. The first one is from Ibu Ati Herawati. In your opinion, Ibu Tina, how should TPD in Indonesia be conducted to make it more effective, efficient, meaningful, and applicable in the teacher's real class?
Well, talking about TPD in Indonesia, it covers a wide range. And of course, actually the programs have been there. The teachers are always provided with TPD programs. But again, as I show in the graphics, that it's a matter of schedule. But if we talk about effective TPD, in terms of what of effective here, you mean that the teachers, how the teachers can continue their professional development, or what? As I have explained that if we talk about the programs have been there, but again, probably teacher educators like us, we can help them continue their professional development by creating programs for teachers. Like in the university, I think lots of universities have implemented this. Like we are having the PKM or pengabdian masyarakat. And for teachers, probably we can offer a program to them and let them decide whether we are allowed to come or not. But so far, based on my experience, in Universitas Pakuan, we have offered several programs to schools, and then Alhamdulillah, schools accepted our programs. And then we have come to many schools for sharing about best practice, including how they can plan lessons, effective lessons. And I found that teachers are excited to have those kinds of programs. I mean, so probably that is what I can answer. Probably Pak Willy can also support the question from Ibu Ati.
The best kind of teacher development involves building a relationship between a mentor teacher and a practicing teacher. But that model is very involved and time consuming and very costly as well. Attending a course like this is a form of teacher development, but the effect, I think, is quite minimal. If you want to really help teachers develop, then you need to be with them, spend time with them for maybe one whole month or maybe for one whole year. I think the effect will be more significant. So working together with a junior teacher for 1 year is very good, but as I said early on, can be very expensive in terms of time commitment, in terms of the cost and all that. But that would be the best way of doing it. But the other one is this idea that there are two types of teacher professional development. Number one is other directed. So you are on the receiving end. If you're a teacher, then you're waiting for people to tell you, hey, you need to attend courses, you need to go for a conference, you need to study. The other one is known as self-directed. So one is other directed. The other one is known as self-directed. But self-directed is more powerful because you manage your time. You are responsible for your own professional development. You are motivated, you are interested, you are committed. But that requires a lot of discipline, that requires a lot of commitment as well. But there has to be something, that you're looking for. Maybe, a career improvement, maybe higher salary, maybe, job promotion, for example. Without that, it's very difficult for you to actually engage yourself in self-directed professional development. But that's the most powerful type of professional development.
Thank you then for the answers, Ibu Tina and Pak Willy. So moving on to the second question here by Bapak Teguh Parians. What is the module actually for emancipated curriculum? Was it RPP for K13? Ibu. So what is the model for emancipated curriculum?
Actually, the government has suggested to use Curriculum Merdeka, but I still find that there are still many schools that implement K13, Curriculum 13, yeah. for me, it doesn't matter which curriculum, because teachers just follow the school policy. In this case, if you use curriculum 13, of course, it is still called RPP. If you implement curriculum Merdeka, it's called modul ajar. The format is different, but actually the content is more or less similar. The important thing is you know what the topic that you are going to teach, and then the learning domains, the lesson objectives, the activities that you are going to implement in the class, and how you are going to assess the students' ability to achieve the learning objectives. Those are I learned from Pak Willy's books about lesson planning, in the books of methodology in English language teaching and learning. And I guess even though the names or the formats are different year by year, but in planning lessons, we have core components that teachers need to consider, and just use those components. About the format, just follow the school policy. That's what I can answer.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Tina. Okay, the next question is from anonymous attendee. So, Ibu Tina, I'm interested in developing teachers' professionalism. The problem is, how do we create the activities to improve their professional development in the classroom for ECE pre-service teachers that they are not confident to learn English? So,
Well,
what's on your take, Ibu?
An anonymous attendee, I don't know whether it's Ibu or Bapak, but are you a teacher or a teacher educator?
Well, looking at question, I think he or she is teacher educators, maybe.
Teacher educator, yeah. Developing teachers' professionalism. Well, in the university, we have colleagues, right? Why don't you try to discuss with your colleagues to hold a program, to create a program for teachers? For example, like what Ibu Ati is here. Ibu Ati is my teacher and also my colleague in Universitas Pakuan. And then we talk a lot about how to assist teachers in developing their professional development. I mean, Bu Ati and I teach the same course, English for Young Learners. Therefore, we have come to a few schools, yeah, Ibu Ati, to develop a program for teachers in primary schools. So I guess we don't need to depend on our dean or ketua prodi to hold a program. So whenever you think that you really care for the teachers' development, why don't you ask your colleagues to collaborate together in one team to develop a program that can help teachers. You don't need to, it's up to you whether it's a short program or probably longer program, but don't fight yourself. I mean, if you fight yourself, you cannot get insights from others. Probably other colleagues can give you ideas regarding many things about the programs. And this one is for ECE pre-service teachers. ECE, what is ECE? Any ideas? But Willy probably know what ECE means here. No.
Nope.
Okay. So talking about confident is not only pre-service teachers, even in service teachers.
Well, I just look at the internet. ECE stands for, wait a second, early childhood teacher.
Oh, early childhood teachers. Okay. Teachers of pre-K probably, yeah, and K teachers. Well, talking about confidence, not only pre-service teachers, but also even in-service teachers, even teacher educators, probably they are not confident to speak English or to learn English, but early childhood education. Yeah, even English teachers, probably they are also not confident to learn English, but to speak English. But for learning English, it depends on us how we can give them interesting programs or interesting materials, activities for them, so they are interested in learning English. So it's back to the facilitators. Okay, that's what I can answer. Pak Willy probably can add more.
Okay, so that's your take on teacher educators. What about teachers who wants to develop themselves, or let's say to us, what is it? Their friends to also join this kind of TPD program. What can teachers do? Maybe.
Which TPD program you mean?
I mean, how can, so previously we talked, you answered the question relating to how teacher educators develop their professionalism. So
Okay.
I'm also interested in how teachers can help their peers maybe to ask their peers to join such professional development program. So what can they do, people?
I'm on the same page as Dr. Willy that teachers need to have self-direction, self-regulated learning. So teacher educators and probably colleagues have tried to share the information, ask them to join, to attend webinars, conferences, or other things, other events, but it's back to the personality. But never give up. That's what I usually do. Bu Ati and I are always together asking teachers and our colleagues to come on, join this conference, come on, join this event. But then it's back to the personality. If we would like to develop ourselves well, it's back to us. Like I have explained that there are some points that teacher educators need to increase their quality to help language teachers also increase their quality. So please do the best even for ourselves. Again, back to the personality, back to the person themselves.
Okay, so how can we actually do something based on what we have received in, let's say, this webinar, let's say, or other webinars, and how can we implement those new information in our class, maybe gitu.
Well, British Council has COP, a community of practice.
Yeah.
So if you, I don't know whether all participants have joined the COP or not, but we have the WhatsApp group, and then we always discuss best practice and then other things related to English language teaching there. So I guess that's also a good start for you to develop your professionalism. And if you are teacher educators, I guess you also can join the group created by Pak Willy, Teachers Voices, Professional Development. And we can find a lot of information there. You know, I always find insightful information there. So that's what I can suggest.
Well, maybe we can also refer to teaching English British Council programs.
Exactly.
So there are a lot of ways we can do, both teachers or let's say teacher educators, to develop ourselves.
Yeah. Allow me to show British Council page, Kang Surya.
Yeah.
This one. Yes, this one. Okay, I'm going to put the link on the chat box. So probably teachers can explore more. As you can see here that there are professional development, publication, teaching resources, and others. So if you are teachers, then you can find lots of articles here. Just click teachers. And then you can find information about how to plan lessons. Next, this one. How to understand learners and many more. So these are for teachers. If you are teacher educators, just click teacher educators, professional development, and then teacher educators. Oops, sorry. So, okay. I also took the today's presentation from this website, and it really also gives me a lot of insights. See here. And you can explore more from this page. Publications, also they provide publication and the teaching resources, including webinars and events, training courses, and many more. Okay. So just explore. Use your time, probably your free time, to explore the page. So if you talk about, if you don't have time, yes, Pak Willy.
Yeah, sometimes you need to be away for maybe 1 year or maybe for 2 years, focusing on your professional development. And one excellent way for you to do that will be to apply for a scholarship. The Indonesian government scholarship is very good. And there are hundreds and hundreds of teachers, who apply for the scholarship, and they get the scholarship, and they get an opportunity to study overseas. In Singapore, for example, in Australia, in the US, and so on and so forth. Now, my suggestion would be for you to, if you happen to be in Bandung or in Jakarta, there's going to be a session. I don't know if you can see that. It's a bit small on the screen. On the 3rd of February, there's going to be an information session for people who are interested in doing their graduate studies at the National My University. And on the 4th, it's going to be in Jakarta. In Bandung, it's going to be at Hilton Hotel. At Hilton Hotel. And in Jakarta, it's going to be at Pullman Hotel. So what you do is, find out about the information of studying for maybe for 1 whole year in Singapore, and then think about how you can get a scholarship. At the moment, I have 4 docents from Indonesia who are doing their doctoral studies, all on the Indonesian government scholarship. So I think that is an excellent way for you to take leave, to stay away from teaching, and you can focus solely on developing, your academic proficiency competence. It's all free because it's all paid for by the government of Indonesia. Yeah, I think that would be my suggestion. Tanggal 3 Februari di Hotel Hilton Bandung, tanggal 4 di Pullman Hotel Jakarta.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Tina and Pak Willy, for the chances for us to grow better and to develop even more through these chances and these possibilities. Okay, I think that's all, Ibu Tina and Pak Willy.
One more for teachers here, teachers of schools here. Please contact me if you would like us to come to your schools or to give training in your school.
Okay.
With Priyantin also.
Of course. Okay, so that will be all for the core session of today's webinar, Bapak Ibu. As we approach to the end of our webinar, I would like to express my gratitude to Pak Willy and Ibu Tina for presenting your materials and also giving us a lot of insights. And I believe that me, myself, and the other participants have learned a lot, and thus we hope that we can still grow even further for facing the nowadays challenge as an English teachers or an English teacher educators. Okay, thank you all for your active participation and thoughtful questions, Bapak Ibu. We are sorry for not being able to answer all of your questions due to the time constraint. However, we hope that today's session is very valuable to you. And now I return to the stage to the MC, Ibu Pipit. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much once again to our remarkable speakers, Dr. Willy A, Renandya, and Ibu Tina Priyantin, M.Pd, for the thought-provoking and eye-opening insights into what teacher educators can do to address contemporary needs in English language teaching. A warm thank you is also extended to Surya for chairing the discussion. Allow me to share my screen now. So before we end today's webinar, we would like to inform you some information about what is happening in January from the British Council. So the first information is a report regarding artificial intelligence and English language teaching, preparing for the future. And to get the full access to the report, you can check the Zoom chat box. You can find the links there. Another fruitful event taking place in January is the 4-week tutored course about key digital skills. The link also is in the Zoom chat box. Another one taking place in January is the 6-month self-study course about how to teach vocabulary. And then the last one happening in January is the 3-month self-study course about how to teach grammar. You can find all the link in the Zoom chat box as well. And don't forget to submit your feedback. The link is also in the Zoom chat box. You can also scan the barcode. And then this feedback link also serves as your attendance checker. And if you are interested in becoming a Pelton member, I will send a link to you later in the Zoom chat box. So today we've wrapped up the first strand of our webinar series. And then the registration for the second strand is open now. Please do register. The link to the registration form will be shared with you later by our team, or you can check in the Zoom chat box. Probably the links are already there. So next week, we will have the 4th webinar, and the title will be Translanguaging and teaching English to young learners, with the speakers, Bapak Subhan Zain, PhD from Australian National University, and Ibu Nike Yunita Muharram, MA from UPI Bandung. So last but not least, let us share with you the link to the recordings of our webinars. Please check the Zoom chat box as well. And as I promised you, the link to Pelton membership is here in the Zoom chat box. On behalf of Pelton and the British Council, I am Priyantin signing off. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bu Pipit. Thank you, Pak Willy, and also Bu Tina for
Thank
very
you.
inspiring
Thank you, Bu
knowledge.
Didi, Bu Pipit, Kang Surya. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next week, everyone.